Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I'm sure we've all heard that childhood rhyme at some time. And there are a lot of boxers who seem to, never seem to pick up the true message of that nursery rhyme. And with Claressa Shields, I'm wondering if she's going to be able to unleash with her fist what she's unleashing verbally, in particular the verbal assault against Savannah Marshall. That's the question. Trash talking has been around for a long time in boxing. It has. The Mike Tysons, the James Tonys, the Roy Jones Jr., Jack Johnson, Paulie Malignaggi, Adrian Broner, Ricardo Mayorga, and the list goes, and Floyd Mayweather, the list goes on and on, right? But when it comes to Savannah Marshall and Claressa Shields she's done a couple of interviews. And what I'm not understanding is, I don't know if Claressa, she's traveled around the world. And, contrasts make the world beautiful. Contrasting personalities make the world beautiful. Savannah Marshall, Claressa Shields seems to have bought in to the notion that Savannah Marshall is a soft girl. And I don't see it that way, but Savannah Marshall, she's not soft. Claressa Shields has gone on to say that Savannah Marshall has been giving her compliments behind the camera, saying that she's gotten better as a fighter, saying that she's represented women's boxing well. And also, Claressa Shields is saying that Savannah Marshall doesn't have anything negative to say about her. Claressa Shields has said that when it comes to the things that Savannah Marshall has said on Twitter, Claressa Shields felt that when she would eventually run into Marshall, which she did, she thought that Marshall would have been more vocal and want problems, or want, she said, like all the smoke, okay? I guess that means confrontation. Now, just because Savannah Marshall, when she did meet Shields, didn't run up, get in the face, spark this brouhaha and get physical and start assaulting Shields, that doesn't mean Savannah Marshall is soft. And I think it has everything to do with maybe the environments both of them come from. I don't know Savannah Marshall's background, but I don't think she comes from an area that could be hostile, could be a situation where if you walk away from a confrontation, you're seen as soft. Where it seems like with Shields, being from Flint, Michigan, and the way she came up from when I listened to her, it sounds like that was more or less a kind of do or die situation she was in. She described it as coming from nothing, so kind of having a chip on your shoulder. So her mentality is going to be a little different than Savannah Marshall's. But Shields, someone needs to talk to Claressa Shields and let her know not to buy into that, because I think that's a huge disadvantage for Claressa Shields going into the fight and just assuming that because Savannah Marshall isn't looking to get, nose to nose, forehead to forehead, to physically, assault her at all, or to be more aggressive in the verbal back and forth. That doesn't mean that Savannah Marshall is soft, is going to be an easy fighter, that she's talked herself into a butt whipping. Now, Claressa Shields was doing, I think she was on FaceTime with a guy who's training Adrian Broner for Adrian Broner's comeback. And what disturbed me was he was more or less playing to Claressa Shields and almost making her believe that Savannah Marshall was afraid of her. Making her feel like everything, when you get that person who is afraid to tell you, it's like they're your friend, they're on your team, but they won't tell you you're wrong. They just go along with everything you're saying. everything that Claressa Shields was saying, he was more or less agreeing with her and kind of elevating the bullshit, right? And what I was waiting for, because of him and his position and being an outstanding trainer and the people he's worked with, was for him to, okay, maybe talk a little trash, because we all do. Okay, we all do. We talk a little trash, we joke. But for him to some point say, well, look, listen, she's still a threat, and don't fall into that trap of maybe thinking that because she's not saying anything when she sees you in person and she's not being combative, don't think for a second that that maybe she's soft. And that wasn't the case. It was more or less saying that this was going to be a walk in the park. Now, I do feel, I've said it before, Claressa Shields has the goods. But I just think that it's an injustice she's doing to herself to come now and say, because she fights and she argues, this is Claressa Shields now, that, she's the tougher opponent. Or she's the one who's not scared. Now, she's proven that that Savannah Marshall doesn't want any problems. Savannah Marshall really wanted back out of the fight. I just think that's the wrong mentality to have. Now, if they're trying to sell the fight, and what Claressa Shields is doing is to sell the fight, well, that's fine. But that's not what I'm getting from this, okay? You've seen guys sell fights. And then you can tell, okay, they're kind of forcing it. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't really genuine. Or, they'll come back at the end of a fight and say, okay, hey, all is forgotten, they buried the hatchet. But what I'm getting from Claressa Shields is that she really does think that Savannah Marshall is afraid of her. And I just think it's a difference of upbringings and just kind of their DNA and how they're wired. Savannah Marshall isn't someone to be out there looking to have an argument in front of a crowd and being in a street fight. She doesn't strike me as that kind of person. Like, you really have to do something to her for her to really pop off, Where Claressa Shields is naturally vocal, she's passionate, but at the same time, she wants to have a reason to say that Savannah Marshall was afraid. Now, Claressa Shields is saying that she really feels she's going to knock Savannah Marshall out. And some may agree, some may disagree. What I think is this is shaping up to be not just a good fight, but I think this is shaping up to where Claressa Shields is going to get the shock of her life when she gets into this fight. Now, Claressa Shields I think she's the best female boxer out there. So for anyone saying I'm bad talking, no, I think she's the best. But I've never fought as a professional. I've fought as an amateur. And I'm telling you from experience, man, and other people tell you, you can't come in there underestimating anyone. And when you start talking a lot of trash like that and talking to your friends and they're all telling you how you're going to do this, you're going to do that, the other person's scared. Let me tell you something, man. The quietest person in the room is the most dangerous one. Now, Claressa Shields loud, but she's dangerous. But I just think she's playing this wrong, in my opinion. I think she's playing it wrong. I think she's reading Savannah Marshall all wrong. And Savannah Marshall is not a soft girl. She's not that. That's just not her temperament to be popping off everywhere she goes. Like, that's not her. She'll have a little bit of a back and forth exchange, but she's not one to just sit there and want to entertain the bullshit all day. Like, that's at some point she'll just hit the kill switch and go on about her business and leave the person there still being a yuppie puppy. That's not Savannah Marshall's thing. She's not into the yuppie puppy chat, But I'm just telling you, man, when it comes to this, it's one thing to have the trash talk and be witty. It's one thing to be vulgar. And with Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall, so far I haven't heard anything vulgar. Nothing's really been witty to where it's like, puns and little catchy things said. It's just more two of them just talking about, a lot of facts and then some opinions as well. But this isn't a Paulie Malignaggi thing. I think Claressa Shields would kind of get into that, man, try to have us seamlessly mix in, cutting one-liners and observations in order to really get under Savannah Marshall's skin. But I'm not sure Claressa Shields can get under Savannah Marshall's skin enough to make Savannah Marshall throw her game plan out the window. I'm not so sure the same can be said about Claressa Shields. I think Savannah Marshall has said enough to get under Claressa Shields' skin. That's why Claressa Shields is carrying on the way she is. And every opportunity she gets a camera in her face, she has something to say. Now, there's nothing wrong with her having confidence. Nothing wrong. I'm not saying anything Claressa Shields is doing is wrong. What I'm saying, I think I'm talking about as far as the talk. My concern is buying into that, believing that someone's scared of you. Not believing in your abilities, okay? That's the difference. I believe in the things that I do well, I believe I do them very well, okay? But I'm not going to sit there and for a second think that maybe someone else feels inferior to me. That I'm not going to make those assumptions, because maybe when I'm doing something that I do very well, a person kind of sits back and observes or is a bit more reticent than they normally are. That doesn't mean that they can't shock me or outperform me, or their potential cap isn't where mine is or further. You see, so those are things that you have to be very careful about, because the quiet person in the room is the dangerous one. And I think that's what we're seeing here. But there's some people out there, man, right now who have opinions on this, and they're saying that Savannah Marshall her cage is a little rattled because she's not used to dealing with someone as vocal as someone like Shields, and she feels out of place, and that's going to show up on fight night. I don't think that's the case. I think both of these ladies are going to show up on fight night, and both of them are going to give it their all. But I feel that Savannah Marshall, she's very brief. She's very succinct. She's not one to go back and forth. She'll hit you with a one-liner. She'll smile. She'll get a little agitated. She may get a little red in the face. She may take a little deep breath and blow it all out. But come fight night, both of these women are going to fight. And it's not going to be Claressa Shields, I like to fight and argue because I'm a lady. And it's not going to be a lady, but I'm a fighter. It's not going to be Savannah Marshall, I don't argue because I'm a soft girl. Both of them are women. Both of them are intelligent. Both of them are passionate. Both of them are good examples. And both of them are straight up fighters. And I think we're going to get a really good fight coming up here in the next couple months. But that being said, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Leave your opinion. And do you think taunting someone, I guess that's the real question here. With Claressa Shields continuing to taunt Savannah Marshall, does that give Claressa Shields an advantage? I think that can work with some opponents. I just don't see that working with Savannah Marshall. Unless Claressa Shields would go all out Ricardo Mayorga and blow smoke in her face, or go over there and try to backhand her, then I think you could see Savannah Marshall break character with the quickness, But one thing about Claressa Shields is she'll talk. She's vocal, but she's respectful, and she's not going to disrespect herself, because at the end of the day, I'll end with this, right? Claressa Shields is all about promoting women's boxing and doing it in the right manner, and she knows that what she has coming up with Savannah Marshall, they can't afford to incur a black eye because somebody went overboard with the taunting or losing their cool and misplacing their self-government. That's not something that Claressa Shields is going to do. She's not going to do that. She wants to be an ambassador for the sport. Well, she wants to continue being an ambassador for the sport. And Savannah Marshall is also being an ambassador for the sport. And she wants to continue doing the same thing. But like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Shout out to all the veterans. Y'all keep safe. I appreciate the support. And as always, I'm in the breeze.